Hi everyone. In this lecture, we will solve an interesting question that has been asked in CSAT 2020. CSAT does ask this kind of questions like A3BC, sometimes they say A2BC, that kind of questions, right? So let us solve this question and let us try to understand that how can we approach this kind of questions to solve correctly, right? So it has been given that let A3BC and DE2F be 4-digit numbers where each letter represents a different digit greater than 3. See, A3BC and DE2F are 4-digit numbers. Means what? Means A, B, C, D, E and F are single digit numbers, and it has been given that all of these letters represent a different digit greater than 3. So basically you have been said that these numbers represent 4, 5, 6. Suppose that D represents 6. Suppose that D represents 6. Means no other letter will represent 6. Right? Okay. Let us read further. If the sum of the numbers is 15902, so basically you are adding these numbers. You are adding these two numbers A3BC and DE2F, and you get 15902, and then you have to answer what is the difference between the values of A and D, right? You have to answer what is the difference between the values of A and D. If you look at the options are 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So obviously you will have to find that what is the value of A and D, then you will be able to answer. Okay, let us start from this side. If you add C and F, you have written here 2. See, when you will get 2, when you add 1 plus 1, then 2. When you add 3 plus 9, see, look at this side. 1 plus 1 is 2, right? Then obviously 2 plus 0 is 2. Then obviously 3 plus 9 is 12, but you will write here 2. Similarly 4 plus 8 is 12, then you will write here 2. Similarly 5 and 7, then 2. Similarly 6 and 6, then you will get 12, and you will write here 2. Similarly 7, 5, 8, 4 and 9, 3 and 0, 2, right? But remember one thing, each letter represents a different digit greater than 3. Means the possible values for these letters are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. Means what? Means you can't say that C and F can be 1 and 1. Why? Because the possible values are from this list. See, you also can't say this thing. You will have to eliminate this option also. Why? Because the values can belong to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, right? But see, there is 3. So how can you say that C and F can be 3 and 9, similarly 9 and 3, right? You can also think in this way, that okay, 8 plus 4, 12, 9 plus 3, 12, right? But we don't need to think about those things. Why? Because we are repeating letters again and again, right? So don't think about these things. Now note one thing, that each letter represents a different digit. So if you say that 6 and 6, means what? Means you are saying C and F both represent 6, but both can't represent 6, because it has been clearly mentioned that each letter represents a different digit. Each letter represents a different digit, right? So you will also have to eliminate this case. See, why I have eliminated 8 plus 4, 12, 9 plus 3, 12, right? Similarly 7 plus 5, 12. The reason is very simple. Why? Because 5 plus 7 and 7 plus 5 is, again you will only get 12, right? So why to repeat those things? So basically what can be the values? See, C and F can be 4 and 8. C and F can be 5 and 7. Why we have eliminated all those cases? We have eliminated this case because letter represent greater than 3. So you will have to eliminate this case, similarly this case, similarly this case. Similarly this case, then why I have eliminated 7 plus 5? Because it is ultimately 5 plus 7. Why I have eliminated 8 plus 4? Ultimately it is 4 plus 8. And why I have eliminated 6 plus 6? Because both letters can't represent same number. So the possible values of C and F are 4 and 8 and 5 and 7. See, C can be 4, then F will be 8. If C is 8, then F will be 4. If C is 5, then F is 7. If F is 5, then C is 7, right? Okay, so we can say that we have not found the exact values for C and F, right? But let us solve it further. If you solve it further, you will again write A3BC, then DE2F, and you know that you get 15902. See, now we will not think about C and F. Now we will think about B and 2. See, when you add 4 plus 8, so 12, 5 plus 7 is 12. You get 1 to add with B and 2. To add with B and 2. So basically 1 plus 2 is 3, and then you are adding B. Then you are adding B and you are getting 0 here. Means what? Means rethink again that you are getting 1 from once you add 4 or 8, 4 and 8, 5 and 7. So you have written here 2. Then you will add 1 with B and 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and then you are adding with B and you have written here 0. Means B is 7. Means B is clearly 7. Then only 1 plus 2 is 3 and plus 7 is 10. Then only you can write here 0, right? That is the only possible case, that B can only be 7. B can only be 7. So A, 3, 7, C, D, E, 2, F. Then 1, 5, 9, 0, 2. See, now you will be able to think that C and F, you get 12. So obviously you get 1. 1 plus 7 plus 2 is equal to 0. And 7 is what? Say B is equal to B is equal to what? B is equal to 7. We can write it here that B equal to 7. Now rethink this line. Each letter represents a digit. Each letter represents a different digit greater than 3. Different digit. If B is 7, can C and F be 7? No. Why? If B is 7, if B is clearly 7, means C and F can't be 7. C and F, none of C and F can be 7. You will have to remember that thing. Why? Because once you find B equal to 7, means none of the letters can be 7. So you will have to eliminate this case also. Why? Because if you have found that B is equal to 7, then how can you say that one of C and F is 7 and one of C and F is 5? You can't say that thing, because if you say that one of these two values is 7, means you are contradicting this line. That's why you will have to eliminate. That's why you will have to eliminate this case. Means now we have clearly found that the possible values of C and F are 4 and 8. One of these two, C and F, will be 4 and another will be 8, right? Now let us solve it further. Once you have got 1 plus 7 plus 2 is that is equal to 10. So again you will add 1 here. So 1 plus 3 is 4. Then you are adding E. 1 plus 3 is 4. Then you are adding E and you are getting 9. So 1 plus 3 is 4, means E is 5. Why E is 5? The reason is simple. E is also a single digit letter. So 1 plus 3 is 4 and E is 5. So again we have found one value, that E is 5. We have found one value, that A37C D5 2F, and you will get 15902. Why? See, 1 1. C plus F 12. Obviously 4 plus 8 is 12. So 1 plus 7 plus 2 is 10. Then you will add 1 here. 1 plus 3 plus 5 is equal to 9. So E represents 5. You have to remember. E represents 5. E represents 5. Now look at the possible values. See, B represents 7. B represents 7, right? E represent 5. Okay. And C and F represent 4 and 8. C and F represent 4 and 8. C can be 4. F also can be 4. If C is 4, F is 8. If F is 4, C is 8. Now look at further. 1 plus 3 plus 5 is equal to 9. And if you look at A and D, you are getting 15. If you look at A and D, you are getting 15. So tell me that if you add two single digit numbers, you are getting 15. Means basically you are adding what kind of numbers? If you add 8 plus 7, you will get 15. If you add 9 plus 6, you will get 15, right? Or you can say 6 plus 9, you can also say 7 plus 8, right? But remember one thing, we are talking about A and D. We are talking about A and D. So can any one of A and D be 7? No. A and D can't be 7. Why? Because B is already 7. Because B is already 7. So A and D, none of A and D can be 7. So we will have to eliminate about this case. So what can be the possible values of A and D? It can be 9 and 6. It can be 9 and 6. If A is 6, then D is 9. If A is 6, then if A is 9, then D is 6. Sorry, right? So obviously, what are the possible values of A and D? 9 and 6, and you can also say 6 and 9. So what is the difference between the values of A and D, right? The difference between the values of A and D are 3. That is present in option C. And you can even think from this list, if B is 7, A and D can't be 7, right? If E is 5, means A and D can't be 5. Why? Because each letter represents a different digit greater than 3. If C and F are 4 and 8, maybe C is 8, maybe F is 4, and maybe C is 8, F is 4, means, right? So 4 and 8, C and F are 4 and 8, so C and F are 4 and 8. So what are the possible values for A and D? Obviously 6 and 9. So what is the difference? The difference is 3. So the correct answer is option 3, right? So if you try a number of questions of this type, trust me, after solving 5 to 7 questions, you will be able to think that how can we approach this kind of questions. We have also solved this kind of questions in our earlier lectures, and that are available on YouTube. And I will suggest you that you should also watch those lectures. We have solved this kind of questions, right? Because CSAT does ask this kind of questions, probably 3 or 4 questions each year. So if you master this kind of questions, you will be able to solve these kind of questions correctly and hopefully quickly, because once you understand that how do we approach, you will not have to think a lot, right? So hopefully all of you learned something new in this lecture. See you in next lecture.